Hey everyone, welcome to Talking Pools on Tuesdays with Kelli and Dan.
Hey,
And
Kelly.
hey Dan. And today we have Tod and Steve from AquaStar.
Hello.
Which is exciting for me. Yeah. Welcome, Steve. Welcome, Todd.
Thank you.
Um, if I'm remembering correctly now, Steve is the brains and Todd is the one that makes it all happen, right? Is that how
We
it goes?
represent a very qualified team.
I've been our company has used AquaStar products for as long as I can remember AquaStar being a thing. The whole VGB main drain thing, and even today we rely on your products as our number one go-to when we're doing any kind of. And in fact, we just as of going into 2024, we're going to be carrying your sumpless drains that have the vinyl liner. So we replace 130 to 150 vinyl liners a year on in-ground pools in the Chicago market. And it's bothered me for a while relative to the VGB covers that we're putting on when we're doing this, right? So we never really have a full understanding of what sump is in the ground in these pools. In our market, some of these vinyl pools could be honestly 45 or more years old. Mm-hmm. And the concern of having a grate that is approved for the sump that's in the ground when you can't identify what that sump that's in the ground is just really finally I just in the last couple of months I said, you know what, we need to change this, and we're going to be putting all of your vinyl sumpless VGB grate assemblies on all the liners that we're replacing going in, well, from here forward. We've still got a handful to do to close out this year yet. And then going into 24, that's what we're going to do on everything. And we've been using your strip drains for years to convert existing concrete structures that have single drain assemblies into something that's an unblockable drain. And so anyway, I'm familiar with you guys and your products, and they've been a big help to us for quite a long time, and a big help to the industry for quite a long time. So this Star Wars looking Death Star thing we're gonna ask you some questions about today has really got me interested and excited, because I've been, we do a lot of salt, as many people do, and certainly salt has benefits, but it also, for those people that don't take care of their water chemistry and keep things just quite right, it can cause some problems too. And the aspect of moving over to a different type of system to help aid in the sanitizing of the water, that is something that I've been looking for a while. And then, so it's coincidental that we're able to talk with you guys tonight. And with that, Kelly, how much research have you done? You're the research person between us. Have you researched? None.
I've been preparing for my class on Monday.
She's been pulling lights.
Oh. Yeah, that too.
Kelly is real quick. Tell Steve and Todd, what are you doing on Monday?
On Monday at the International Show in the Blossom and lead a backyard gathering at 4:00. Me and Deb will be going over 4 quick, profitable repairs. So we will be doing a Hayward and a Jandy upgrade kit. We will be doing in-floor system repairs, such as the gears and the heads on the inserts. We will be doing a Pentair IntelliFlow 3, and we will be doing an AquaStar pipeline filter. Do I have that correct?
Yes, I
Good
love
deal.
it.
Good deal. So they're presenting at the expo in an area that the expo is set aside to. I mean, it's not truly exclusively for women, right?
No, it's geared towards women, but all are welcome.
Awesome.
In the Blossom and Lead section of this. So we'll try to. I'll be wandering around there and bugging her while she's trying to do her presentation with her
We
good
are
friend Deb.
we are trying to get everything set up and organized because there's not a lot of time for us to set up. We have the amount of time from the time the class before us is done, which is supposed to be done at 3 or 3:30, and then our class at 4. So we have like 30 minutes hopefully to be able to get everything set up and ready to go. So
No problem.
it's kind of
You got
overwhelming
it.
me a little bit. Our last class, it was nice because at the pie show, we were in the same room as Hayward was, and those are all my reps. So they call me, or I first asked them like, hey, during lunch is it okay if I bring my stuff and just put it in the corner so you can't see it, just so we don't have to like haul it all in? And they're like, yeah, sure, and we'll call you when we're done. Well, they were done like an hour 45 minutes maybe before our class started, so we were able to go in there, set up, take our time. This one we have no PowerPoint. We are able to have one of those big huge notepads, but there's nothing, you can't have a PowerPoint at all.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
So we're like,
old
okay.
school.
Yes, old school. Might have electricity to plug in the J&D control. I'm preparing for no electricity. I'm like, we will just show, how to do these things real quick. Like on the filter, for example, without gluing, kind of show them this is what you should do. This is how you put the pipe in. So, but we chose the AquaStar filter because we hear how great and how quick it is to install it and to open and close. And so I think that's a great thing for them to check out.
Make your voice heard. Join the Council for the Model Aquatic Health Code. Lend your expertise to the MAC, science-based guidance from the CDC, and the only all-inclusive national pool code that addresses current aquatic issues. Learn more at cmac.org. That's cmahc.org.
But we chose the AquaStar filter because we hear how great and how quick it is to install it and to open and close. And so I think that's a great thing for them to check out.
Yeah. Well, certainly the innovative design of that filter in so many ways is it's really, really cool. So it's exciting. I'm going to be thrilled to see you present on that.
I will need a drink when I'm done.
Oh, well, okay. I'm there for you, Kelly.
I think you're in the right city.
Right.
Well, today, what we wanted to talk with Tod and Steve about is a brand new product that they've just brought to market. And I said it looks like the Death Star, but it's actually called the Pure Star. And I don't know let's back up a little bit. Pure Star is a corona discharge ozonator, right? So,
yes.
Tod, Steve, which one of you want to jump in and help us understand what ozone is and how it helps us in the swimming pool environment?
So I'll take that one. So ozone is a super powerful oxidizer. It's been used since 1907 or something like that in drinking water. Starting out in Europe, it's used extensively. Bottled water is ozonated. And ozone is a powerful oxidizer. And it starts out as oxygen, and then the ozone generator will split the oxygen into two. And then those two individual molecules join other oxygen, and that creates O3. So basically, it's just oxygen that is super powerful. And because it is so powerful when it's injected in water, it very quickly will attack and destroy viruses, bacteria, chloramines, even heavy metals, all kinds of things that the ozone will attack and very quickly neutralize it. The benefit of ozone, in addition to being extremely powerful, and according to the EPA documentation, it's like 60 times faster than chlorine. So basically, it does the job faster than chlorine. So the chlorine is the residual in the pool. Now, ozone, because it's so unstable, That's what makes it so powerful. That third oxygen molecule is not happy, so it attacks anything nearby. But that also means it just doesn't last very long. It will only be around, even in distilled water, for maybe 20 to 30 minutes. So it is always used as a supplement to a sanitizer like chlorine, that we need that out in the pool, so that for swimmer to deal with algae and all of that. So the ozone will do the heavy kill in basically back at the equipment pad. And so that's the value of ozone.
So the if I remember back to my high school, probably some college chemistry courses and the periodic table, oxygen is higher on the table than chlorine or bromine, which bromine is even further down than chlorine. And that's how the elements are kind of categorized in their strength, right? So oxygen being higher on the table, it's more powerful, faster reacting than chlorine. And that's where the ozone, when it's in the water in conjunction with chlorine, the ozone is going to do the disinfecting the first, leaving the chlorine still in the water. So when the ozone isn't there, the chlorine then can take over. Is that the
Correct.
sort of
Yes.
basic idea?
Yep.
Do I
And
need to
feel
run and
free
grab my
to
periodic
slap.
table?
I was going to say slap me around and correct me if I'm wrong. But that's I've been in the industry a long time and have been familiar with ozone going back decades. And to your point of it being used in water, drinking water, and everything else, century and more ago. There were companies around in the 80s and 90s, maybe even before that. I don't go back further than the 80s, so that's all I can speak to. But I know I installed and repaired various types of ozone units. And the thing that's interesting to me about the Pure Star unit is the fact that it's a corona discharge unit. So tell us a little bit about how the Pure Star unit and the corona discharge is different than potentially some other ozonators that are out there used in the industry, if you would.
Sure. So ozone is created one of two ways, basically in the natural environment, either with lightning strikes, that electrical discharge, which is a corona discharge in the sky, splits the oxygen atoms, and then they join into 3 oxygen atoms, and we call it ozone. So that's one way, and that's the most powerful way. The other is just with ultraviolet light in a very specific wavelength that's in the ultraviolet, so we can't see it. So that is done by sunlight in the atmosphere. In the water quality world, there's corona discharge, which is a very small chamber that has the lightning strikes in it, if you will. And so it's very compact and very powerful, like lightning is compared to sunlight. I'd much rather be hit by sunlight than lightning. And then the other element, the UV versions, it's a typically 18 inches or 24-inch long bulb that creates UV light and regular light. And so it will create very powerful, very expensive, and they create enough UV that splits a small percentage of the oxygen passing in front of the bulb. In both cases, you end up with the element O3, and it's equally as powerful. The advantage of corona discharge is you get a much larger quantity of ozone in a very small package, and it's either working or it's not. And that's something that we can track, that you're aware of. The challenge historically with the UV lamps is about 3/4 of the way through their life cycle, they will quit creating the UV light that creates ozone, but they continue to glow. And so it's very expensive to know when they've reached the end of their useful life. So when you use ozone in the commercial application for splash pads, high risk venues for the Model Aquatic Health Code, the PHTA standards, where they are required, those units, because of the public health issue, have to have UV meters on them and that kind of a thing, just to make sure, so you know they're working. So there's a twofold with the Corona discharge. It's more powerful, and it's either working or it's not. And so that's a big advantage. To be completely fair, one of the disadvantages of Corona discharge is in a high humidity environment, it reacts with the moisture in the air, doesn't quite make as much, and it can create an acid environment that has to be dealt with in the units. And all of that has been managed within the Pure Star. So everything that is required is in that basketball size unit. And it's just 110 to plug in. So we'll go into more detail on all of the various challenges that we've overcome from hydraulics, energy efficiency, working with variable speed pumps. But that's the core of it. The top shelf stuff is Corona discharge, and then the bulbs in the box have historically been the economical way to go. But now that all of this has been created into such a small package, the Pure Star will definitely be competitive and superior in performance in many ways.
Very cool. The hot tub industry has used ozone for a long, long time. And, going back 35 plus years when I first started in the industry, everything was UV. And the rule of thumb was every 3 years you threw the units away and put a new one in, because the production of ozone was basically down to nothing at that point. And those units, I don't remember anyone ever replacing a bulb in those units back in the day. I think they truly were intended to be disposable things. You always had a couple on the truck, and when it got to be that time, you talk to the people and you say, okay, $200, we'll put a new one in, and you'll be good for the next 3 years, kind of a deal. And
I just
today,
had to replace bulbs the other day.
Did you
Yeah.
in commercial unit or residential?
No,
or?
it was residential. It was actually under warranty for one of the other manufacturers.
Okay.
And
that's been one of the industry's focus in that technology. I was involved with it in the late 90s and then again in the 2000s with different companies. And one of the focus is, trying to make them more serviceable. How do you know when they're working? And so it's come a long way from the stuff that originally came out in the late 80s, early 90s was basically sheet metal folded into a box that cost a fraction of the bulb. So it doesn't surprise me that they would just plug them into the suction side of the pump. Please don't do that to pipeline pumps, please.
I thought it was interesting because you were mentioning how in commercial, and I'm on CMAX technical support for operations and maintenance, and we were just reviewing a change order where somebody wanted more stringent testing on ozone in a commercial field, and a lot of us on that committee were just like, there's really not a whole lot you have to measure that at least effectively, because like you said, it doesn't last very long in the water. So
yeah, it doesn't last long. It's difficult and very expensive to measure. We've been, as Director of Science and Compliance, I've been looking at how can we, we're in this market, and we have been in another new construction Corona discharge unit for over a decade. So we're well aware of this, but there's just not really a cost-effective way to measure ozone. But the nice thing about it is, certainly with the Pure Star, is the unit will tell you when it's working, and there's zero doubt that when you create ozone, we have all the benefits that come with it. And so that side of it, it's not quite like measuring. In fact, it's not at all like measuring pH or chlorine or any of that. That is just got to be maintained on a regular basis. The key with ozone is it is a supplement. And the one thing is, when it's working because you see the immediate benefits in the swimming pool. By immediate, I mean a day or two. takes time for this to cycle, because one of the advantages of ozone and why it's used in drinking water is it removes color and smell. It causes, after it's attacked bacteria and viruses, it basically smashes them like a grape, and then those stick together. That gets filtered out. So you can absolutely see a water quality difference in an ozone pool, and it won't be too long that if the ozone system's not working, you will see the water quality degrade. But first you're going to see is all of a sudden you're going to start using a lot more chlorine.
I had a couple pools on route that had ozone, and that's when I fell in love with it, because like you said, you didn't use as much chlorine. I could have barely anything in there, and this pool was gorgeous, and completely safe to be in. And unfortunately, I think a lot of service companies are like the way I was. Until I experienced it, I didn't see the benefits. And then once I saw the benefits, it's like, oh my gosh, I need this. I would ideally like this on every single pool I can, because there's a lot of benefits. And I always go back to, we had that chlorine shortage, and it was crazy that, hey, you have these supplemental devices like ozone with your pool. When we have that happen again, because I'm pretty sure it'll happen again sometime in our life, we'll be okay and be able to get through to the next week.
It certainly helps.
What type of chlorine reduction do you see on pools that have a Pure Star in play?
I'm going to let Tod handle that one. He's got the actual live experience, and I measure stuff, and I'm not going to speak to what I haven't been able to measure yet.
It's really all about contact. It's all about contact time, right? So with our variable speed pumps, if we can create a unit, which we have, that will work very well at low speeds, and we can run that system the majority of the day, or even all day, your residual can be extremely low, less than 1 part per million. I've run it on my system anywhere from a half a part to 3/4 for over 2 years now, and I'm in a kind of a valley, mountainish area where it gets really hot in the summertime, and we use our pool a lot. And again, we've been running under 1 part per million. But again, I run my pool 22 hours a day, and the benefit, which we'll get into with our ozone system, is the handshake with variable speed pumps is something that we've never seen seen before out of retrofit ozone system using Mozzie injectors.
Yeah, sure. That's a challenge, which is why this unit piques my interest, is the variable speed, even with just simple erosion chlorine feeders, is a challenge. Yeah. And so how have you designed the Pure Star to overcome that? What makes it unique in that regard?
Steve, you want to tackle the hydraulics part
Sure,
of this?
sure. I thought you were going to take it. I was worried.
I could.
No, he's very capable, no doubt. So I would say the first thing is you hear the name Mozzie injector, and basically Angelo Mozzie back in the 90s took ozone to a whole new level. And a Venturi injector, it's the same principle of fast moving fluid, water or air, creates low pressure. So we use fast moving water to make our spa jets work. That's what draws the air in. Fast moving air over the top of an airplane wing causes low pressure that lifts airplanes. So the physics are the same there. And what the Mozzie injector did was optimize that just magnitudes above anything else that was in the market, and everything went away. Obviously, it was patented, but that was well over 20 years ago. So we started with the best of the best design, and that's why our U.S. patents work the way they do. You have 20 years to get a head start, and then anyone can follow. And when you have something that good, that's what we followed. But the problem with the original design is it takes 10 psi of pressure loss across that injector to make it work. Well, 10 psi is a dirty filter, right? So That's a huge, to overcome 10 psi is 1,500 RPM on a variable speed pump, and now you're well over hundreds and over 1,000 watts to drive these things. So we already knew the corona discharge side because we've been doing that for over 10 years. So what we focused on was convenience in the hydraulics. So it has inside of that basketball size unit is basically 2.5, almost 3-inch pipe with a 1-inch Maisie injector in the middle of it. So we bypass all the water around the Maisie injector. You don't have to have the separate loops and tees and springs and regulator valves that an operator would need in a public pool environment where somebody's looking at it every single day. That's not a problem, but in a residential world, it's kind of a pain. So there's no adjusting valves. That all happens automatically. Once we had that aspect of it dialed in, then we went to work, Jim and the engineering team went to work to optimize where the ozone gets injected. And that was for a couple reasons, to really make that the most efficient, make tiny little bubbles so it transfers to the water, but then also so it can be self-cleaning, because ozone attacks calcium also. And just like you'll see it on your shower head and faucets, well, that is building up in every single ozone unit ever made. And this unit, one of the challenges to overcome was to make it auto cleaning. So it will do that maintenance itself. So the combination of those things allowed us to get down to where we can generate the same amount of ozone and deliver it to the pool down around the 2 psi range. And so that is a huge, huge savings on the electric bill, and you still get all of the benefits of ozone with that. So that was a really critical aspect of this, was looking at the hydraulics, because we're new into the variable speed pump market. We've been into energy efficiency and that kind of thing for decades with what we're doing with sweep elbows and certainly the pipeline filter and all of that. So the last thing we wanted to do was install a secondary sanitizer that was going to double your electric bill. And so that's really been the focus. The other element of it is to make it just plug and play easy. And so it's rated, we have it rated to go from 20 gallons a minute, which is way low speed on variable speed pumps, all the way up to 150, which matches the pipeline filter. And it is happy, automatically anything, anywhere between the two. So what that means for service pros and homeowners, but for the service pros, you can focus on how this pool needs to operate, be it skimmer, robot cleaner, spa jets, fountains, whatever. You just don't even need to think about the Pure Star Ozone. It's going to do its job. It will tell you it's doing its job. It has lights to indicate. And so really the key to the success of this is that it's just fully automatic. But I will warn you, it takes you 3 or 4 minutes to install.
3 or 4.
Now,
Yeah,
even though it does clean itself, do you still want to have somebody check it periodically, just to double check that it's cleaning for itself?
So, well, there's 2 ways you can know that it's working. Sorry, Todd. Is the lights. It will tell you if it's working or not. If it doesn't have enough flow or any of that, it goes to a steady, so that way. And then the other is you can look in for the champagne bubbles out in the pool. Okay. So there's 2 visuals, but there's nothing for anyone really to do. It's auto. It takes care of itself.
Okay.
So the mechanical part of that, what we're doing is we have a sensor. The whole system is based off of flow. So when the pump turns off, we have a sensor that has a piston that shoots into that Maisie injector port where the O3 has been pulled through. And then when the pump turns on, that piston is pulled out of that. So it's literally every time that Maisie injector in keeping that clear of calcium and or debris.
Okay, next question.
Mm-hmm.
That flow switch, is this something that if it fails, because things happen, Can it be replaced, or do you have to replace the whole unit?
We will be replacing the whole unit, and there is a self-diagnostic light function on the unit that will tell you if that piston failed or not.
Okay.
So you won't have to guess whether it's working or not.
So the unit, is it designed that it's not a serviceable thing? It's all, you guys put it together and you don't want anyone getting in there and messing with it, basically.
Yes, we put it together in a way that we feel like there doesn't need to be any serviceable parts, and we're set up in a way that it's a really simple exchange out, 2 unions and plug into a 110 outlet, and something that we definitely will stand behind as a company if there are issues, if there are manufacturing issues with it, for sure.
Yeah.
And what is like the terms for the warranty for people to know?
So right now it's a 1-year warranty with it, but as you know, if anybody knows AquaStar, if we have a unit out there that's past its lifespan and we realize that it's a manufacturing flaw, we will take care of it.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm a big warranty person, so that's like my number one question is what's the warranty?
Half of Kelly's life revolves around doing warranty service for various manufacturers.
Yeah.
With this unit, so the flow rate down to 20 and all the way up to 150 is a really, really cool broad spectrum there.
Yeah.
And not that we at our company don't get into dealing with above ground pools, but is this something that can be used on above ground pools?
Certainly.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any concern relative to the distance from where the Pure Star unit is installed by the equipment to the pool? Should we be thinking of wanting to have a certain amount of pipe between the two to try to help dissipate ozone, or is the ozone, the way it's designed, is that not that much of a concern with the ozone in the body of the pool itself?
So it's up to 1 gram an hour. So relative to those big commercial systems that have to have, they're huge, they're bigger than electric panels and all that. This is low dosage. So it's not appropriate to use this or any of the residential ozone systems on a public, like certainly not a splash pad or any of that. It's a different category. And when you get to those high potency, and these things cost $5,000-$10,000, they will have systems that are called degas, and then they have charcoal deconstruction and all kinds of things. But this being relatively low dosage relative to health effects and all of that, we just don't have any of those concerns. The distance from the unit to the pool doesn't matter. It kind of matters with hydraulics, but again, this will work from 20 to 150. So the ozone unit, the effects of ozone don't matter. And because ozone reacts almost instantly at that Maisie injector, all of the kill at attacking the viruses and all of that's happening really, really close. That's why the commercial units will go a couple of feet of pipe and then they degas. So really the magic is happening in that, right there inside the unit. What you do need to make sure you do is that ozone is last in your system. So you definitely don't want it before pumps, filters, heaters. It is certainly okay to have the ozone doesn't care one way or another. Typically it's after a salt chlorine generator, but some swear by putting first. We're going to allow those manufacturers to tell the pros where that is. We also know that ozone in front of a UV system, they have that combination. So those things are all happening. There isn't anything you can do to the Pure Star ozone relative to it being near other equipment. But ozone is a very powerful oxidizer, and you don't want to run that through your pumps, filters, and heaters for sure.
Sure. And obviously the salt manufacturers will be the ones to tell us that. It would seem to me that we wouldn't want it to go through a salt cell as well. But
yeah, intuitively, but I've heard a couple of
yeah,
people saying, "Oh, it's great," but there's a lot of people
yeah,
who thinks things are great that are maybe
right. Well,
maybe they like selling
That's
a
for
salt
sure.
cell every year.
we
I
do.
don't know.
Our company is primarily a Pentair shop, and all of the pools that we build, um, we've got everything on them you can think of. So we're putting their IntelliChem units with salt systems and acid pumps and all that, and we always put the acid injector before the salt cell.
Yep, I've heard that too.
It keeps the cells clean. It just really, and that many would say is sort of goes against the grain, I guess, that you don't want but at such small levels,
Yeah, exactly.
it's just never really causing any issues with the plates in the cell and that. So I was 18 inches of pipe. That's all we need. 18 inches of straight pipe.
Yep.
Cut it,
Yeah,
drop it in, plug it into an outlet, fire the pump up, and go golfing or whatever you want to do. You're done.
yeah. Kelly teed this up perfectly for us at the beginning when she said she was looking for profitable, quick upgrades for equipment pads, and I don't think you can get any more profitable than this unit, and any more quick than this unit for an install. If you have that 18 inches of pipe on the return side, it might take you 2 minutes to install this unit, and you'll spend most of your time probably um, zip tying the cable to pipe to make the pad look clean. But that was one of the 10 gotchas that we wanted to accomplish was taking the legacy systems with the big manifolds with the big power supplies and paring it down into a unit. And we tested our engineers with that gotcha and said, hey, we want to make this less cumbersome than we've seen, and we want to make it easy to wire. So he came back and he set the unit in front of us, and it had a 110 plug outlet in it. And he said, is that easy enough to wire? We said, yes, it is.
That was a
Very
short
cool.
meeting.
Yeah.
Very short.
So what is there any purpose to the shape other than it looks super cool?
Not, it's funny, the owner of our company, Olaf, the sole owner of the company, privately held, but he came in one day and he was at a sporting goods store and he had this, I forget what it was like a geodesic moon ball. It was a moon ball that he found, and the ball had flat sides on it all over the ball, kind of what the ozone system looks like. But the brilliant part of the ball was, even though it had flat sides on it, it would always bounce straight up. It would never bounce off to the side. So I think he was in line at a sporting goods store picking up a pair of shoes and saw the ball, and he goes, that's what we need to make our unit look like. Because we were looking just at round systems, and we wanted to make a system that obviously was as small a footprint as we could, but also would fit all the mechanics inside the unit that we wanted. But nothing other than that moon ball.
It was so funny in that meeting. He comes in with the ball, and they were, at this point, this was early. This goes back, 3-4 years ago now. So we're still looking at the paradigm of what it is with power supplies on walls. And we know the Maisie injector is about 14 inches. And so there was the mechanical piping side of it. But then once they started looking, it's like, there's no reason we need to separate this. But the look on Jim's face when he says, I want it to look like this, it was like, okay. But that's the beauty of working for Olaf, is he's got these crazy, brilliant ideas that fit within the capability of the team. And then it certainly makes it fun to deliver. Yeah. But it really was, everything would fit in that package, and then it turned into a project from an engineering point of view. You take the covers off, it's very compact, modular, serviceable for us, individual components and whatnot. But then when they put it inside that blue geodesic sphere that glows, it is pretty special.
It's cool. It's very cool. So you had said earlier something about basketball size. I mean, is that basically how big the sphere, if you will, is about the size of a basketball?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
unions on
With
both
two,
sides, and
yeah, two unions on the end sticking out of what would be a basketball. And you mentioned where everybody's going to be going to see Kelly at the show on Monday. Stop by the AquaStar booth. We will not, obviously, we're showing, so we're going to have it, but we actually have a training display just to demonstrate how easy this is. It's got like 18 inches of straight pipe and the ability to cut and install and plug it in, just to show how easy it is. So you can stop by the AquaStar booth and you can check this out for yourself.
AquaStar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable, and these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with a pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleanings faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day. Do you remember when chlorine and acid were impossible to find during the pandemic?
The only place that anybody seemed to have anything was Leslie's.
Did you know that they sell wholesale to the trade?
I used that program. Leslie's Pro program.
So there's about 900 of those locations all over the country now.
Well, I didn't know that. That's a lot.
They don't keep bankers hours. Then they're open a little bit later into the night, and they're open Saturdays and Sundays.
But they sell retail. Don't they have their own installers?
So does the largest wholesale distributor of pool supplies in the country. They purchased that large chain of retail stores, but also service, installation, and repairs now.
I know Leslie's doesn't do service because I know several pool companies, self-included, that were part of the Pro Partner Program, which can provide Leslie's Pros with customer referrals for weekly cleanings and chemical maintenance to you. If any of our listeners are interested in becoming a Pro Partner or the best wholesale pricing Leslie's can offer, visit your local Leslie's retail location or email commercial@lesl.com.
Commercial@lesl.com.
Okay, cool.
Pool Magazine is the hottest new publication for the pool and spa industry, featuring up-to-the-minute news on what's happening in the pool world in a fresh new stylized format with our mobile-friendly app. Pool Magazine is the app for keeping your fingers on the pulse of the pool industry. You'll find featured news, editorials, podcasts, videos, and more on the Pool Magazine app. Download on Google Play and the App Store.
Jack's Magic Products is your industry leader in identifying, removing, and preventing stains. How? With a range of high-performance, eco-friendly products, keeping pools safe, clean, and ready to use all year round. The Jack's Magic 3-step program is a quick and effective way to remove stains and scaling. First, we identify the problem, then our top-quality products will remove the discoloration. Finally, our preventative solutions will keep your pool looking like new for much longer. Get helpful tips and check out our product catalog today at jacksmagic.com.
With that, so it's Tuesday morning to all of our listeners that are tuning in, because everyone waits until I think Rudy drops it at midnight and they got their alarm set, and at 12:01 they're listening to us. So everybody that is listening, you need to head over. What booth are you guys in? Do you know what the number is off the top of your head or no?
I was afraid that question was going to come up.
Yeah,
I
do not know it off the
Booth number 6139. That's AquaStar Pool Products, booth 6139.
Just look for the big, huge star.
Yes.
Yeah,
We have
they
a
got
20
the
we have
app.
a
They got
20
the
by
Expo
40,
app,
so you're not
and they'll punch
you'll
in
be able to find us.
AquaStar and
Yeah, we're in the middle.
wow, you're gonna have a
middle
lot of
the
these.
train show.
Very cool. So 20 by 40, you're gonna have these things piled up all over the place. You like door prizes to every 10th person coming through that says they heard you on Talking Pools gets 5% off
free
of
demo.
their purchase or something. Yeah, a free demo. There you go. We as long as the word free is in there somewhere, we don't care what it is. It could
You
be
should give them a free pen.
a
that
free
we can do.
handshake. We're not picky, But
Yeah, we got
it is
awesome AquaStar Sharpies.
Oh, perfect.
I'm telling you, Sharpies are like the best thing to have.
Mm-hmm.
I lose those things
Aren't
all
they?
the time.
They are. That and well, there was there was something someone was giving out. I just had it and now it's gone. See, when you get old, your mind just starts to wander and then you're in trouble. Kelly, you'll get there someday. You'll get there someday. Catch up to me and you'll forget stuff too. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing this. I'm going to hunt you down on Monday after I irritate Kelly when she's doing her presentation and visit with you. And in fact, if anyone can track me down in the AquaStar booth, I think maybe Rudy can let go of a couple extra Flock It Friday hats that we could send out. So if someone manages to recognize me and sees me in that booth, come over and say hi, and I'll make sure that we get a couple of hats from Rudy that we can send out to some people. But I'm looking forward to this show more than I have in a long time. Actually, it's been COVID certainly messed us up with the show circuits and all that kind of stuff. And this year there seems to be a lot of good stuff that's going to be out there. And you guys have an awful lot of cool stuff going on in the last handful of years beyond what you've been known for so long. And between the pump and the filter and now this, when are you going to build a heater? We need heaters that'll withstand the rigors of all the issues that homeowners run them through. So I think
We need an
AquaStar.
electric heater that can
Yep.
have the Death Star come and destroy it, and it's still
have a whole bit. How long was this thing in development before you actually got it to us now?
We started this system about 6 years ago now.
Wow.
We actually started the pump, the filter, and the ozone unit all at the same time. I mean, As crazy as you could possibly be, we are. And so we started all those things right at the same time. And I've made it clear in many scenarios now that I wanted this unit first. I think this is the most game-changing thing the industry has seen, I believe, since the variable speed pump. And we know how revolutionary that was for our industry. And I was begging for this to come first. And before, the filter, before the pump, like, let's put our energy into this. And we were putting our energy into everything. But there were so many gotchas that these legacy systems had that we wanted to fix. And we wanted to make a unit that was accessible to the service professional. And I think ozone has been elusive over the years because it has been cumbersome. They have been tough, and they don't work well with variable speed pumps. And you need a power supply. You need a lot of space. And again, it's counterproductive hydraulically, the units, the legacy units to our systems. And one thing that Steve touched on earlier was the amount of energy it takes to get legacy system ozones into the system. And yeah, you're going to double your electric bill, but most homeowners aren't going to ramp their variable speed pump up for 12 hours a day, because that contact is the most important thing. So when you can run your pump on 1400 RPM and get ozone in your system all day long, that was one of the biggest hurdles that we needed to get over. Again, at least 10 gotchas in the system that we wanted to fix, and we did it. And I am so fired up about this system and so excited about it. And one of the reasons we started on this was a gentleman named Greg Garrett. I'm sure everybody remembers him. Very integral part of the National Plasters Council. And we were making new construction ozone for a number of years. And you had to lay conduit and lay ozone tubing, and we were pulling ozone through the skimmer. So obviously that wouldn't work for the applicators in the NPC to use ozone on remodels. So his push was, please make a retrofit system, because he loved ozone because there's no byproduct, right? So it's not messing with the finishes. And so he pushed us for a number of years. And whenever he could corner Steve, or whenever he could corner me, or whenever he could corner Olaf, he's like, please make that system. And we told him, we started it, and we're like, it's coming, we promise. But it took us longer than we wanted to, but I'm glad that it did. And we brought an incredible product to the industry, I believe.
But I think that's a great thing, is that it's better to have something take longer in development, because then it's a quality product, instead of just rushing through it and then it's a piece of crap that no one likes.
Yeah, I feel like we built a good brand and a good brand name relative to quality. So it's so important in everything that we do, that when we bring it to market, that it's good. Now, it's never, we know we're not perfect. We absolutely know we're not perfect. And we have good relationships with some industry individuals, whether they're on the service side or the new construction side or the application side, that we can send them product out and they will give us their feedback and we can make changes. That's the brilliant part about what Olaf has created, is he is the sole owner of the company. We have one person making a decision, and then we control our own tooling, we do our own manufacturing, and we do our own shipping. And so when we need to make changes, we can make them quickly, and if they make sense, we'll do it. If you look through our catalog, I don't think you'll go 2 or 3 pages without seeing some influence from the industry in our catalog.
Cool.
One of the things that took so long to optimize this, and I know it drove Tod crazy, and he'd come back to the lab and it's like, we need this, is we tested it above water, at water level, below water level. We already talked about the 20 to the 150. We actually tested from 17 to 185. But we're picking, round numbers in the middle. And until the test lab group was satisfied, relative to, okay, here's your real data, to the engineering team, and then he would dig into it and said, oh, no, we can do better than this. And we really could have come to the market a year earlier at like the 6 PSI level and 2 different springs. But all of a sudden now it's just complicated again. And said, you know what, let's focus on this. The nice thing is the filter came out, and certainly that was a game changer and kept Tod and the team busy on that. But one of the advantages of taking on 3 massive projects at one time is they fed into each other. So we realized why we were chasing the variable speed efficiency, that if we can get the back pressure out of filters without sacrificing performance and water quality. Same on the ozone. So some of it we would be well down the road, and then we say, you know what, based on what we learned here, if we just tweak this spring and do this. And so, I think it was worth the wait, personally.
Where do you guys feel the price point retail wise of these units is falling?
We get asked the retail question a lot. You're out of distribution, the pool professional or retail store or contractor will be able to buy this unit for less than $1,000. And so for a 1 gram an hour Corona discharge ozone system, that is very, very competitive.
Yeah, and with all it has to offer in terms of the simplicity of the installation and then with that, the benefits. So, chlorine is an issue for everybody, all the pool owners, right? I mean, depending on what type of chlorine you're using, you've got complications that arise from it. By reducing the amount of chlorine that you're adding to the pool, you're extending all of those complications way out there, and instead of having cyanuric acid levels build up in as little as a year's time, well, now, who knows, maybe never, theoretically, right? I mean, the ozone reduces the chlorine need, and that pushes it way out, and then you have your natural dilution that occurs from the elements, rain and so on and so forth. So, and the flow rate thing is, to me, the most interesting part of it. A lot of builders in my market, high-end gunite builders, are using UV systems from a couple different manufacturers, and we often end up taking the accounts over on the service side. These builders kind of concentrate on the building end of things, and although they often do some low level, I'll say, maintenance, inevitably the people look to us to help them with it a few years down the road. And almost every time we go out there, we find that the flow rates on these UV systems aren't anywhere near where they're supposed to be for the UV system to function. Mm-hmm. And here they've got a very expensive piece of equipment sitting there that's doing nothing for them. And most of the time, when you have a conversation with the homeowner about it, they don't even know what this thing is. Like, the builders are selling these UV systems, and they're like, I don't know, the builder said that I had to have it, so I got it. Well, okay, except that in this particular application and the way your variable speed pump is running and everything else, it's running too slow, it's running too fast, it's not dialed in. 20 to 150, you really almost can't screw it up, right?
And that's what we try to do. I mean, O3 is O3, right? Nobody's O3 is better than anybody else's O3. O3 is O3, and the biggest hurdle was, how do you get it into the system? And we really tried to take into consideration every problem legacy systems have had. And obviously the flow rate is one of them, the cleanability is another, the ease of installation is another. And then just the simple fact of this unit not only will tell you when it's not making ozone, it will tell you when it's making ozone. And then it also has all the error codes in it if any of the valves go bad, or if there's an issue inside. So the fact that anybody can walk to that equipment pad and know that unit is creating ozone is, I mean, just for starters, that goes far surpasses any other legacy system out there for the residential market. And then again, like you say, the flow rate's everything, because we can run variable speed pumps low, and we can get that massive amount of contact time, and we can keep our residuals down.
Yeah.
So I think one thing from a service person, a question that I hear about almost all products is, how do we sell something like this? And so I think when you have customers who say, I'm allergic to chlorine, that's a great one. I've actually had customers say that, I'm allergic to chlorine. You need to put very little in there. I'm like, well, I have no choice. You have ducks and chickens and, literally had a rental. They're like, we're allergic to chlorine. And I walk into the yard, they don't take care of the yard, and they had ducks in the pool because they literally had ducks on the
That's
other
one
side.
way to eliminate the chlorine.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So that's also places where I sell ozone is when you have little kids, because they all pee in the pool, and you want it to be as safe as possible. Older people, that's another one. So those are my key things: is you're allergic to chlorine, you have kids, you have old people, or there's one more I can't think of it, but there's one more. But those are the ways of, at least in a retro fit or in an existing pool, when they want to reduce the chlorine in their pool, this is a way to do that.
Sure.
Yeah, and ozone has significant benefits. I talked about the bulbs. That's one of the problems where these units, you might even have the correct flow rate, but the bulb is beyond its useful life. It's still glowing, so you can see it's still on, but it's not doing anything anymore in the flashlight. But one of the inherent benefits of ozone over UV is, as I discussed earlier, the ozone is going to destroy the bacteria like mashing a grape, if you will. What UV does is it sterilizes it without hurting it, so to speak, so it can't reproduce. So it scrambles the DNA. But that means that stuff is still in the water, and it also is not going to do anything with your heavy metals and the other byproducts. And so that's another advantage of ozone. And I don't think UV would be anywhere near the market share it is now if these problems with the ozone injection and installation stuff could have been addressed sooner. We're very grateful that they weren't. But another thing that for anybody who's dealt with these systems, we know check valves can be problematic. Well, our engineer said, I don't want any part of this because they were leaking in our lab. And so he said, so we went with a solenoid valve, and it knows if the pump's not running, it's closed. And this is separate from the self-cleaning thing. But the thing about a solenoid valve, when it does not work, we have electronics that know it. And so you're going to know that you have a check. There's no check valve, so you're going to know if the system's not working. So it has to be 100% right, or it's not even going to start up. And all the water it's going to tell you, it's got error codes, and then it's just going to bypass the water around that internal bypass. So you're never at risk of your system going down just because of something. It's a electromechanical device. And so eventually they're going to have a problem, but your pool's not going to be having a problem until somebody discovers, it's blinking 3 dots, something's wrong. In the meantime, the rest of your pool, your chlorine is still doing its job as it should.
Very, very cool. I am, like I said, I'm super excited to actually get my hands on this thing in your booth in just a few days, and actually it'll be today as our listeners are listening to it. They're all going to be flocking over to your booth, and let Steve and Tod and their whole team know that you heard them talk about it on Talking Pools, and that's why you're running over to check it out. I'm super excited to be able to talk with you guys and to get the sort of inside scoop on this thing, and I'm even more excited to be able to see it and to meet both of you in person and talk about it a little bit more and see how we can look to improve what we're doing with all of our builds and retros and everything in our market. There's I think this is a huge thing for the industry, and I'm all about the convenience, the simplicity, the savings, it's very cool. Thank you for bringing this out to us and making it part of the industry and helping us with all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we appreciate the platform for sure, and the chance to get on here with you guys and talk about this stuff. It's important. Steve is an industry driven individual. He wears an AquaStar hat, but he's industry driven, and that's what AquaStar is. We want to raise the bar, and this product, in my mind, absolutely does it. So yes, Dan, you've got to get by the booth, and you're even going to install one.
Wait a minute, I'm old. I don't do that.
Don't worry, we got power tools.
He'll make me do it. He'll just stand, watch it, and have his drink, and be like, "Okay, Kelly, I'm putting you to work."
There we go. That's what Kelly is, my hands, and she's the go get it done girl. So
we're literally bringing, 100 feet of pipe that's cut into chunks that'll fit the display, so that we can just show literally how easy this thing is to install and plug it in. Of course, there won't be any water there, but it'll glow and all of that. So I think certainly in the booth to get the exposure. But what's so cool, this is as close to instant gratification product as you're going to ever get in this industry, where you can go, if you have 18 inches of straight horizontal pipe on an outdoor residential pool, install it, plug it in there at the pad, and you come back, it's fun to watch when you set it up and all of that. But if you're a service pro, you come back the next week, you're going to see a difference in these pools.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for spending time with us today and telling us and all of our listeners all about this awesome little Death Star looking cool deal.
Love it.
We appreciate it very much, and we look forward to what AquaStar is going to be bringing us in the future, because you guys have been kind of knocking it out of the park the last couple of years here. Good
Thank you.
stuff.
Appreciate it. We're working hard.
Yep, there's stuff in the lab right now.
Awesome.
I didn't spill it.
Yeah,
Yep. But when you do spill it with us, and
There you go.
we'll spill it around the whole industry for you. So
there you go.
Kelly looks like she's thinking. She's got these wheels turning. She's like, all right, I'm going to get my hands on about half a dozen of these things, and before the end of this year, I'm going to have them in there installed.
Okay,
and
me personally, I'm not the type that likes to do like equipment sets. Like, I'll do them. I prefer things that I can install quickly, be in and out, and make a great profit off of, because one, I don't have to work as hard, and two, if I show it's that easy to the customer, then they're not as intimidated by it. They're like, okay, sure. One, she knows what she's doing because she did it quickly, but okay, this isn't going to be something that I'm going to have to study for 5 years before I figure out how to turn it on. So that's why I like those quicker items.
What time is your thing on Monday, Kelly?
4.
So you have time to run by AquaStar's booth and get your hands on it and put one together, and then add it as a little side light to the 4 quick things you're doing.
I'm actually discussing this with her right now.
Hey,
maybe
Deb,
we should do we should do this instead of the filter. Like,
we got no, don't not
do them both.
We only have an hour. We have 1 hour.
It's a bonus. You'll do
it.
That's
what Deb's like, well, why don't we add it at the end as some other like quick things that could be done? So we're brainstorming.
There you go. Good for you.
I think that, and even for people of different skill levels, like a lot of people who are, I don't want to say they're fresh into pools, but they're in the let's say the first 5 years of their career and they're still learning how to do things like this. Since it's so easy to put in, they're not going to be so intimidated, which means they're going to sell it, which means it's going to benefit their customers and it's going to benefit their pockets because they don't have to put as many chemicals into the pool. Like, there's just so many great things about a product you could put in. And like you guys said, practically 15 minutes, but more because of zip ties to make it look pretty.
Right.
Like, you don't need it. You don't have to paint it. So that's even better. Like, and it's a pretty color. So the wives will be like, okay, it's eye appealing. We're good. It's not some abstruse thing. Because believe me, wives don't like it when there's stuff that has to be like above their fence and they see it. So now they have something pretty and blue.
Yeah.
Another advantage to ozone that you have as service pros, everybody out there, is relative to the benefits of ozone, because it used to be printed on drinking water and all of that in the early days. That's not so much anymore. But you can say, don't take my word for it. Go to the CDC, look at the Model Aquatic Health Code, and just search on ozone and water quality. And you will find lots of information, on the health effects side from the CDC. They got documents and support. Obviously, it's all going to be geared towards those public pools where it's the big equipment. But O3, as Todd put it, is O3. So there's that. And then also you want to see how it goes after heavy metals and color and smell of sulfur and water and all of that. That's going to be at the EPA. Now, fair warning, it's wastewater treatment, so some of the stuff can be kind of gross, but it deals with that. So the point being is you can send your potential buyers to go look at those two, just search on the internet, and they're not taking our word about how good ozone is. So then once it's installed, then you can say, see, it's working, and they're going to see that instant gratification of a week or two of a big water quality difference. Certainly if you put it after a pipeline filter, you're going to see a massive difference, and that pool's going to look a lot like bottled water is what we're seeing.
Well, there you go, Kelly. Item number 5. Just get it done.
And Kelly, make sure that you let them know, not just because it's easy to put in, it doesn't mean it's not effective. So as easy
Right.
as this
Well,
thing
and
is to
that's
put in, this
and
is
that's the key thing about
massively
anything.
effective. Yep.
Yeah, you need to make sure that pretty much I'm a person that if it's not effective, I'm not putting it on. And I'm meaning just because it's going to make me good money doesn't mean it's going to work. Like I had to test something that was a magnet and I'm like, this is a fucking waste of time. I'm not, just because it made me $1,000 doesn't mean I'm going to put it in because then I look bad when it doesn't work. So yeah, you need something that's effective and I love ozone. I'm a huge supporter of it. I wish every single pool would have it. And with the price point that you guys are talking about, that makes it easier for us to get it because a lot of these UV, ozone, AOP, like they're very pricey and customers are like, well, I'll just keep doing the chlorine because it's cheap, even though it's not really cheap. So
Yeah, definitely not.
Certainly, if you're doing a service route and buying the chemicals, certainly in the sun belt, heat, humidity, and all of that kind of a thing, we talked about we've been doing the new construction, and that pool builder who asked for these products. So both of these is we had customers begging us, Greg Garrett chasing us down the hallways of trade shows. True story. But the thing is that pool builder, if you buy one of his pools, it includes an AquaStar Ozone Corona discharge unit, and they only build pools where they're going to do the service.
Yeah.
They know, I mean, their whole business model, and they pay for all the chlorine and all of that. And that's part of where we know one of the ways you'll see if one of the unit, and I mean, they've done tens of thousands, they can see when one drops off because of water quality and chlorine use. And that system does not have the benefit of the Pure Star that'll tell you it's not working. That one is a little bit, it's not as high tech. It's very functional. It creates great O3, but this one's way smarter and will tell you what to do.
We like smart. That's what we're all about is smart. Right, Kel?
Well, so far the things of their products that I've experienced, I like. I love that their pump. I have a pool right now. It has one, and it says that it can do a 10-foot lift. I'm in love with that part. I've always loved their main drain covers. The filter I haven't had experience with yet, but I haven't installed any filters this year, so that's why. I've never had a complaint about any of their products, so
No.
I can't be like, well, you had this and this failed, like the others you could do that with. So I have no reason not to feel comfortable trying their product and knowing it's going to work.
We actually advocate as a service pro who's considering this product line, take it to one of your problem pools. We're not bashful. I mean, because if you have a problem pool, be it chemistry, filtration, suction, the priming, all of those kinds of things, you put this on a problem pool, we are seeing great results. And then when you see that it does a good job on one of your problem pools or a customer you can't fire, so you just make them happy through a new pad or something. But then at that point you will have confidence. What we see is it spills into the whole product line on the pools that are easy. But if you're buying the chlorine, this is just a no-brainer relative to the long-term investment. Just as that pool builder, if you buy one of his pools, you're getting it because you're getting his service, and that's the only way he'll build it.
Well, I'm really thankful that you were able to explain the process of ozone for the pool pros because a lot of them don't understand it. It will make my job easier because I just do repairs. I don't service pools. But I work for a lot of service companies that don't do repairs, and I have to convince them of why they need to sell these things. And now I could just be like, okay, listen to my podcast. You'll understand the whole process and what it's about. And this is why we are now selling this. So I appreciate you explaining it like you did.
And I think the thing at the end of the day is the homeowner gets a better product.
Right.
Right? They get a better pool experience. They get a better base load.
Our market in the Midwest, and I know there are other markets out of the Sun Belt that are the same way, that our customers are paying for all their chemicals. And to me, the cost savings, especially with what chlorine costs are today, for those that are using trichlor or even calcium tablets, whatever their form of chlorine is, the savings is going to pay for itself, right? So it's in a lot of markets, that's a direction that is it's the direction we're going to take.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. It's going to give you a better overall pool experience, a better environment, better water, and it's going to save you money, right? So, I mean,
Sounds like a
our
win-win to
pools,
me.
our pools in a 5-6 month season are spending, we got a 25,000 gallon pool, they're probably spending $400 or $500, maybe $600 on chlorine every year.
Wow.
So it doesn't take real long for the payback on something like this to recoup it, and it really makes sense.
Yep.
So.
Well, thank you guys so much, and I'm looking forward to seeing this in person when I'm at the show next week. Or we'll just pretend like I'm already there when I'm at the show today.
Right, there you go.
It's midnight Tuesday, so you're going to go see it today.
That's right.
I may be sleeping
right.
at this
Midnight.
moment, but it opens at 10.
Right. Right. So
that's right.
Tuesday
it is Las Vegas.
Tuesday at 10, everybody's going to be rushing over to the AquaStar booth to check this thing out as soon as they hear our podcast, right?
Yep.
Awesome.
All right.
Do say hi. We look forward to meeting you.
Yeah, absolutely. We will. We'll make a point of coming by at least a couple of times. So, as Kelly said, thanks so much for being with us today and sharing all this great information with us and all of our listeners. And we look forward to seeing you face to face in just a couple days.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.